I'm the man of the house. I decide how we spend the money. That is what my husband, Gary, said to me, while standing in the driveway next to a monstrosity of metal and rubber that used to be our future home. He didn't just buy a truck, he bought a betrayal on 4 wheels. And he bought it with the $40,000 we had been saving for 5 years to escape our moldy 1-bedroom apartment. He thought that because his name was on the checking account, he owned the money. He thought that because he was the man, I would just cry in the kitchen and get over it. But Gary forgot 2 things. 1, I'm the one with the credit score that got him the loan rate. And 2, he left the title sitting right on the kitchen counter. So while he was at work showing off his new toy to his buddies, and I decided to show him what a woman's decision looks like. But before I tell you how I sold his pride and joy for cold, hard cash, let's rewind. You need to understand the sacrifice behind that money. We live in a shoebox. I'm not exaggerating. Our apartment is so small that if you sneeze in the living room, you bless someone in the kitchen. For 5 years, Gary and I had a goal: the house. We were obsessed. We had a vision board. We had a special savings account nicknamed the White Picket Fence. Every single month, I transferred 20% of my paycheck into that account. We skipped vacations. We drove beat-up cars. I started bringing instant coffee to work instead of buying Starbucks. You know the grind. You know how hard it is to save a down payment in this economy. And it feels like climbing a mountain while wearing a backpack full of rocks. But we did it. Last Friday, we hit the number, $40,000, enough for a down payment on a nice little starter home in a good school district. I was ecstatic. I spent the whole weekend looking at Zillow listings, imagining where we'd put the couch, imagining a backyard for a dog. Then came Monday. I came home from work early because I had a migraine. I pulled into our apartment complex, and there it was, parked in our spot. Actually, parked in 2 spots because it was so big. A brand new, jet black, lifted pickup truck. It had tires the size of my torso. It had chrome everywhere. It looked like something a movie villain would drive. My stomach dropped. I thought, who is visiting us? Then I saw Gary walking around the truck, wiping a smudge off the door with his sleeve. He was beaming. I got out of my car. Gary, whose truck is that? He looked at me, grinning like a kid on Christmas. It's ours, babe. Isn't she a beauty? V8 engine, leather interior, off-road package. I got a steal on it. The world stopped spinning. Ours? I whispered. How did we pay for it? I wrote a check, he said casually, kicking the tire. From the savings. I felt like I was going to throw up. The house fund? You drained the house fund? Relax, babe. He waved his hand dismissively. We can save it up again. But this deal? This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Besides, I need a truck. Every man needs a truck. Gary works in IT. The heaviest thing he lifts is a laptop. He does not need a lifted truck. I started screaming. I couldn't help it. We ate ramen for 3 years, Gary. I haven't bought new clothes since 2019. That was for a house. You can't just spend 40 grand without asking me. And that's when he said it. The sentence that sealed his fate. He puffed out his chest, looked down at me and said, Look, I earn slightly more than you. I'm the man of the house. I decide big purchases. You're just being emotional. You'll love riding in it. I'm the man. I decide. He didn't see me as a partner. He saw me as a subordinate. He saw our joint savings as his money that I just happened to contribute to. I stopped screaming. I went numb. That's a dangerous place to be, by the way. When a woman stops yelling, you should be terrified. Okay, I said quietly, if you say so. He smirked. He thought he'd won. He thought he had tamed me. That's my girl. Hey, I gotta run to the office for a few hours to handle a server crash. I'm taking the truck. We'll go for a celebratory dinner when I get back. My treat. He hopped in the truck, revved the engine so loud it set off a car alarm nearby, and peeled out of the parking lot. I walked into our tiny, dark apartment. I sat on the couch. I looked at the Zillow tab open on my laptop. The dream was dead. We were back to zero. Then, I saw it. On the kitchen counter, next to his keys, was a manila folder from the dealership. He had been in such a rush to show off the truck. He left the paperwork behind. I opened it, and I started laughing. A cold, hysterical laugh. And because Gary is arrogant, but he has terrible credit. He missed a bunch of payments on his student loans years ago. My credit, on the other hand? Pristine, 800 club, to get the financing approved for the remaining balance. Yes, he drained the savings and took out a loan. He had to put my name on the title. And because we live in a state where OR implies joint ownership with full rights to sell, the title read Gary Wilson or Jessica Wilson. Not and or. For those of you who don't speak legalese, OR means either one of us can sign the title to transfer ownership. I didn't need his permission. I just needed my ID. I looked at the clock. It was 4:30 p.m. Dealerships close at 8. He was at work. He took the truck, yes. But I knew where he worked. And I knew he had a spare key. Sure, because Gary is the type of guy who loses things, so he keeps a magnetic spare key box hidden in the wheel well. He showed me exactly where it was last week on his old car, and I saw him transfer it to the truck earlier. I called my sister. Pick me up. We're going on a heist. She didn't ask questions. She just said, I'm 5 minutes away. We drove to his office building. It's a big corporate park with a massive parking lot. There it was, the beast. Parked diagonally across 2 spaces because, of course, it was. I walked up to it. I reached into the rear wheel well. Gotcha. I unlocked the door. The new car smell hit me. It smelled like betrayal. I started the engine. It roared to life. My sister followed me in her car. We drove straight to CarMax. You know, that place that buys cars on the spot. I walked in. I slammed the folder on the desk. I want to sell this truck. Today. Right now. The salesman looked at the truck, then at me. Okay. It looks brand new. Didn't you just buy this morning? My husband did, I said, smiling sweetly. But he decided he prefers walking. The salesman ran the VIN. He checked the title. He saw OR. He checked my ID. Everything was legal. Okay, he said. Since it has 40 miles on it, it's technically used now. You're gonna lose the drive off the lot value. We can offer you $36,000. We had paid $40,000 cash, plus a $10,000 loan. Selling it for $36,000 meant we were losing money. I don't care, I said. Cut the check. They processed the paperwork. I signed the title. I handed over the keys. They handed me a check for the equity difference, after paying off the loan part immediately. It was a check for roughly $26,000. We lost about $14,000 of our savings in 4 hours. It hurt. It physically hurt to see that money vanish. But getting $26,000 back was better than letting him keep a $50,000 truck while we lived in squalor. Plus, the look on his face was going to be priceless. I deposited the check into my personal account, the one he didn't know about, via mobile app before I even left the lot. My sister drove me home. We ordered pizza. We waited. 8 p.m., 9 p.m. At 9:30 p.m., my phone rang. Jessica? His voice was panicked. Where's the truck? What do you mean? I asked, taking a bite of pepperoni pizza. I'm in the parking lot. The truck is gone. Someone stole it. I have the key in my pocket, but it's gone. I'm calling the police. Don't bother, I said. The police can't help you. What? Why? Because it wasn't stolen, Gary. It was sold. Silence. Long, heavy silence. What did you say? I sold it, I repeated. I went to your work, used the spare key, drove it to the dealership, and sold it. Since you're the man of the house who makes the decisions, I figured I'd be the woman of the house who cleans up the mess. You can't do that, he screamed. That's my truck. I'll sue you. I'll call the cops. Actually, you can't, I said calmly. The title said OR, Gary. Legally, it was my truck too, and since you spent our joint savings without my permission, I recovered what I could. The money is in my account, my personal account. You lost money on it, he yelled. You threw away money. I'd rather lose a few $1,000s than lose my self-respect, I replied. By the way, you should probably call an Uber. It's a long walk home. He didn't come home that night. Said he stayed at a friend's house, probably crying about his lost beast. When he finally came back the next day, the dynamic had changed. He walked in not as the man of the house, but as a guy who had just been completely outplayed. He tried to argue. He tried to bully me. He tried to say I stole from him. I didn't steal, I told him. I liquidated a marital asset. And by the way, I'm keeping the $26,000. Consider it my pain and suffering fund for the last 5 years of eating instant noodles. We are currently separated. I'm staying in the apartment. The rent is paid up for now. He's sleeping on his brother's couch. He keeps texting me, saying he forgives me and wants to work it out. He says we can start saving again. He says he learned his lesson. But here's the twist. And I didn't just sell the truck to get the money back. I sold it because I realized something in that moment. He puffed out his chest. I realized I didn't want a house with him. If we had bought that house, I would have been trapped. I would have been stuck with a man who thinks my opinion is optional, a man who thinks his wants are more important than our needs. The truck wasn't the problem. The truck was a symptom. The disease was his disrespect. So I'm taking the $26,000. I'm going to use it for a down payment on a small condo, just for me. It won't have a big backyard, and it won't have a white picket fence. But it will have something better. It will have a front door that only I decide who walks through. I lost a husband, and I lost about $14,000. But I gained my freedom, and honestly, that's the best purchase I've ever made. So ladies, if your man ever tells you, I'm the man, I decide, remind him of one thing. The title usually says, or, and hell hath no fury like a woman with a spare key and a dealership nearby.